2025 Audi A6 e-tron is good but dull first rear-wheel drive Audi sedan. Should be much more exciting than the reality of the base A6 e-tron. Audi is at its best when it does audacious things. That line runs from Auto Union's stupendous supercharged V12 and V16 race cars in the 30s to the Quattro system that helped the world go all-wheel drive in the 80s and which carried Audi to glory in the Rook. Later on, it was Audi that took aluminum construction into the mainstream with the A8 sedan, put Bauhaus design on wheels with the TT, and created a diffusion line Lamborghini in the R8. Then there's the vicious RS6 Avant, which has done for station wagons what Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture did for cannon fire. Audi is great when it flies its freak flag, with that maelstrom of awesome behind them. Here comes the all-new 2026 Audi A6 and S6 Sportback e-tron models, a pair of electric sedans. The A6 is the subject here. We'll return to the S6 later. Sportback is Audi speak for five-door hatchbacks with traditional sedan proportions, but the extra utility of a lift-back rear. Audi has taken advantage of this form factor's inherent slickness and come up with an exceptionally sleek shape with a claimed drag coefficient of just 0.3. That's even better than the super slick 1984 Audi 5000. Underneath that slippery form sits the premium platform electric PPE architecture introduced last year as the dedicated base for the Q6 e-tron SUV, while the A6 and S6 names will also be applied to internal combustion-powered sedans. Those will share very little else in common with this all-electric version. There are two A6 e-tron variations. There's the single-motor rear-drive A6 Sportback e-tron with one motor in back providing 360 horsepower in normal operation and 375 horsepower with launch control engaged. Those output numbers assume an ideal state of battery charge and ideal ambient weather conditions. So, keep that in mind before bracket racing at the local strip. This is not the first rear-drive Audi. The R8RW SN GT as well as the base Q6 e-tron preceding it. But the entry A6 e-tron is the first rear-drive Audi sedan we can recall. A step up from the base A6 Sportback e-tron is the A6 Sportback e-tron Quattro, which adds a second motor driving the front wheels. This delivers a total of 420 horsepower in normal operation and 456 horsepower in launch control mode. Both versions are juiced by the same 800-volt lithium-ion battery pack with a net 94 point per kilowatt-hours of zap. Audi says the rear-drive A6 on 19-inch wheels can go up to 390 miles on a charge, and that the dual-motor Quattro manages 377 miles. The high-voltage architecture also allows for impressively rapid charging if drivers can find it. Sufficiently potent fast charger with a peak supported rate of 270 kilowatts. The e-tron can add up to 138 miles of range in just 10 minutes under optimal conditions. How does it drive? Low-key to the point of electrical ennui. The single and dual-motor A6 e-trons are so laid back they could be anthropomorphized as Judes. Don't sweat it. Never regret it. Let's stop for donuts. Some of this laid-back vibe is the result of a chassis that plants each of the four tires firmly, with a 5-link suspension designed for discipline. The A6 e-tron is designed to deliver grip and when driving within the high limits. I never found anything approaching dynamic excitement. Physics play a part here. Even the single-motor base car weighs in an acclaimed 4,949 pounds. Almost twice as much as the 1980 for 500S, and that heft works to mute any communication between car And driver.audi says the single-motor A6 e-tron will zip to 60 miles per hour in 5.2 seconds and top out at a restricted 130 miles per hour. The company has the dual-motor A6 e-tron, Quattro doing 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds before eventually being truncated by the same 130 mph limiter. Those numbers are impressive in isolation, of course especially compared with those older Audis powered by internal combustion engines. But within the wider context of fully electric sedans, they are pretty mad. And the sensory isolation of the rest of the experience saps enthusiasm to push harder. Of course, it is relatively easy to make EVs feel fast, but much harder to make them replicate the visceral thrills of good combustion-powered cars. Sadly, the A6 e-tron makes that point. It definitely can't match the spirit of the punchier all-wheel drive e-Audis that have preceded it. What's it like to live with? There's a button-down elegance to most Audis, and that carries over to these new EVs, although with an emphasis switch to digital displays instead of the sort of elegant, classy controls Audi used to specialize in. But the basics are good. It is easy to get in and out, controls are logical, and the interior quality is premium Bavarian steakhouse. In lieu of direct driving engagement, there are screens. Lots of screens. As standard, the e-tron gets to that. Sweep from in front of the driver to the dash center. These containing a configurable digital instrumentation pack and infotainment functions. There's also an optional 10.9-inch screen that sits in front of the front passenger's position. This including a privacy mesh to stop the driver from seeing it while on the move. After starting up the A6 e-tron, I felt the irises of my eyes contracting under the digital onslaught. Audi does graphics well, the screens truly are fantastic looking. But deleting one in favor of more driving feedback would be a solid, as in other modern Audis. The number of touch-sensitive panels and black plastic trim pieces also act as a magnet for fingerprints. Audi hasn't lost its design mojo, and there are still some nice details and class-feeling materials on display. The A6 e-tron is also decently sized, with room for 4 in Comfort 5 and a pinch and enough headroom in back that it doesn't feel like a squash roofer like the A7. The A6 in any configuration is a pleasant place to spend time. Should I buy one? The single-motor A6 e-tron starts at $67,195, including a $1,000 to $195 destination charge. It's only $2,000 more for the two-motor A6 e-tron Quattro. Those prices are pretty much a tie with the most obvious alternative, the non-M versions of the BMW i5. But as much as we love sedans, the A6 e-tron stacks the limitations inherent in the body shape on top of those of an EV. This likely isn't a car for those with kids to haul or the need for lots of carrying capacity. Nor is it one for speed addicts or those who like driving. For driving's sake, it's a very traditional take on the EV. One that feels a little timid and unadventurous. Audi needs to get back to being radical and doing unexpected things. That's always been Audi at its best. Highlights and lowlights love. Confident exterior styling. Serenity at all speeds. Sure-footed handling. We don't. Muted driver feedback. To many screens. Short on killer innovation. Favorite detail. Audi is always on the cutting edge of digital light shows. And the new A6 e-tron family features the first light-up rings on their tails. The taillights can be tweaked to perform various dances, but it's those 4 vivid circles glowing red that impress. Finally, an Audi that can be identified from geosynchronous orbit.